All right, welcome back to the TCI studio. Gavin Oliver, Mr. Recruiting here. We're going to do a weekly weekly RecruitCast. See if I can spit that out today. Big weekend this weekend, Gavin. Probably other than the official visit weekend, which will be later in November, this is probably the biggest recruiting weekend during the regular season for the Tigers. Texas A&M got a ton of five-star talent coming in. I guess let's start off talking about the 2020 class. Sounds like there's a couple of potential five stars that could be there. We've heard from source, but we haven't confirmed. You want to talk about the two five stars that might be here?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we think it's possible that Clemson could get appearances tomorrow at the game from two of the big-time remaining targets in the 2020 class. Jordan Birch is a possibility from what we've heard from sources. We haven't got that confirmed, as Robert said, but that is a possibility according to what we've heard. And also, Eric Gilbert is another one that we would not be surprised to see show up tomorrow afternoon in the Valley, which would be incredible to get those two guys on campus, two of the top remaining targets in the 2020 class, to go with a slew of top 2021 prospects that are going to be on hand, including several five stars in that class. So, I mean, if you add those two guys in, along with what we're expecting, at least 6 5 stars in the 2021 class to be on hand tomorrow, you add that in, that's maybe 8 5 stars on campus, which would be incredible.
That's a big deal. And before we go through the list of the 2021 five stars, Gilbert, Birch, both were here late July for the cookout. We talked about with Birch how that kind of set the table for getting him back on campus for a game if he does show up. He's actually playing in Charlotte tonight. Getting he and Gilbert there, just continues to keep the Tigers, in the mix, near the top. After the camp visit for Gilbert, we felt a little bit better about Clemson's chances than we did going into the visit in July.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely think Clemson helped his case with that visit. Right now, the consensus is, or what it seems to be the case, is that Alabama's trending with Gilbert right now. We've talked about it before in our previous videos that Georgia has long been considered a heavy favorite for Gilbert, but they've started to fade a little bit, it seems like. And in Alabama, with the way they use their tight ends, that's something that Gilbert's looking at very closely. And last week in their game against Duke, they utilized that tight end heavily, and a lot of people think that's made a big impression on him.
But he also wants to play receiver, not just tight end.
That's right? True too.
Which is where Clemson's pitches made them more competitive, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, like you said, just getting him, if you can follow up that cookout visit, the momentum you're gaining with that, add on a visit, if you can get him back on campus tomorrow and make a big impression with a big game, you can only help your case. So.
All right, now let's get to 2021 class. I think, Gavin, you said 6 5 stars. So let's run through those guys first and talk about who you expect to be here.
Yeah, well, we'll start in the trenches up front on offense. Amarius Mims, 5-star OL from Georgia, is supposed to be on hand. That's just one of them. Then you got a big-time quarterback that's supposed to be there too. Caleb Williams coming all the way from Washington, D.C. To make the trip to see this big game. So you got an offensive lineman, a quarterback. Then you go to the backfield, Will Shipley from Charlotte area. He's supposed to be there as well. So you got that on offense, along with Hall, the 5-star wide receiver from Sefner, Florida, is also supposed to be there, one of the best wide receivers in the 2021 class. So you got several of the top prospects.
Got a lot of offense there.
A lot of offense there. But it doesn't stop there. On defense, you've got Clemson's two top cornerback prospects in the cornerback prospects in the 2021 class, Tony Grimes and Ja'Kinsey McKinstry. There we go.
Glad you said it.
Yeah. So those are the 6 5 stars that we've confirmed as expected visitors for tomorrow's game. 4 on offense, 2 at cornerback there. So it's the guest list is loaded, and on top of that, you've got we'll run through some other names, but you got just a bunch of 4 stars and some other 3-star guys who are even maybe a bit underrated too. So
well, and I guess we'll go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. Breaking news for you guys that watch this video tonight. Gavin and I will be in Charlotte to see one of those 5 stars, Will Shipley.
Yeah.
Saw him at camp this summer. We're going to make the trip up to watch him play this play his game against South Meck tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. He's a guy that's drawn some comparisons to Christian McCaffrey. He's an all-purpose back, number one all-purpose back in the country. He's right there in Charlotte, so we're excited to go see him, and we'll have an interview with him afterwards, so stay tuned for that.
All right, go through some of the other, you mentioned obviously the 6 5-stars for 2021. Who are some of the other headliners that are coming in that are, obviously top recruits, but not 5-star status yet?
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about one. We already talked about one of our top wide receiver that's going to be there. Kerry Collins, another wide receiver that's very high on Clemson's board, and that's very high on Clemson, is going to make the return to Clemson tomorrow. Kerry Collins from Powder Springs, Georgia, McEachern High School. So
possible we could maybe see some activity with him this weekend.
I would say it's safe to say that he's on commit watch this week, and hopefully you saw this week we updated our TCI forecast for Collins. So we changed him to sunny. So that's our forecast for him. So we're feeling good about where Clemson stands right now heading into this visit. He is a guy that's competed at the Dabo Sweeney camp for each of the last several summers. Has developed a very good relationship with Coach Jeff Scott, and Coach Dabo Sweeney. He got an offer after camping at Clemson this past summer, so we're just one of a few guys in the 2021 class at his position that's gotten an offer from Clemson so far. So he's definitely one of the big names we're watching out for. And another guy that we feel like Clemson's in great shape with, and we recently had an interview with him as well on our site you can go check out, but Jake Brine, a 4-star tight end from Tennessee. He'll be making the return to Clemson. Like Collins, he got an offer after participating in the Dabo Sweeney camp this summer. Clemson's lone offer to a tight end in the 2021 class. He's the only one at his position that has an offer from Clemson, and he's a Michigan State legacy, but we believe Clemson's the team to beat heading into this visit.
Michigan State, come on.
Yeah. So that's 2 of them, and then another one that we're keeping a close eye on that's going to be making the return to Clemson is Jager Burton, a 4-star offensive lineman from Lexington, Kentucky. He is a teammate of Clemson commit Walker Parks. They're going to be traveling together for the game. Clemson's also going to be standing with him. He's coming off an unofficial visit to Texas for its game last week, the win over Louisiana Tech. So he'll be making the trip with Walker to the game.
Several big-time offensive linemen will be on campus.
Several big-time offensive linemen. Several big-time quarterbacks, too, actually. We mentioned Caleb Williams from Washington, D.C. that's coming, the 5-star. But you also got Colton Gaither. He's a 3-star prospect from Dacula, Georgia. He's got a bunch of big-time offers, too. Then there's a 2022 4-star that's expected to be on hand. And MJ Morris from Carrollton, Georgia. He's a teammate of Clemson linebacker commit Kevin Swint. So he's another one that's supposed to be making the trip, too. So that's one of the themes. Quarterbacks, offensive linemen, cornerbacks, as we mentioned, Tony Grimes and Kinsey McKinstry. But you've also got Nyland Green, Covington, Georgia, Newton High School, where Darnell Jeffries played. He's supposed to be there. And Kamari Lassiter, a cornerback from Alabama that's pretty highly regarded, is supposed to be there too. So there's several positions where there's
that's just a
cluster
taste.
Guy. Yeah,
that's a taste of what's coming
Yeah.
Saturday to Death Valley.
A lot more names. And we've got a full list of guys on our website that we ran this morning. So check it out if you want to get the full names of guys that we've confirmed and where they're from and their star rating and a little bit about them. You can check that out.
So we've got a couple guys on commit watch. Progress hopefully with a lot of the other guys and kind of setting the table for another really, really strong class in 2021. Those 2 5-stars we mentioned from the 2020 class, quite frankly, if you get either one of those, you basically submit probably having the number 1 class in the country. And just add to that historic class, if you get both of those guys, then it's just kind of a cheat code.
Yeah.
Big weekend. Gavin's going to be busy this weekend. As we mentioned, we'll be on the road tonight, Friday night, and we will have a ton of coverage tomorrow from Death Valley, photo galleries, notes on the guys that are there, interviews with the guys, reactions afterwards all weekend, probably heading into next week as well. Yeah. So big recruiting weekend, obviously a huge game for Clemson as well. So stay tuned to the Clemson Insider. We'll have it all covered for you all week long.